The League of Women Voters Cupertino Sunnyvale and the Asian Pacific Islander American Public Affairs Association presents City Council Candidate Forum 2014, featuring the 8 candidates running for Cupertino City Council. And now for tonight's moderator, Roberta Holloman.
Hello, and welcome to this forum for candidates for Cupertino City Council, sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Cupertino Sunnyvale and APAPA, the Asian Pacific Islander American Public Affairs, to help voters make informed choices. The League works to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation of citizens in government. The sponsoring organizations are nonpartisan and do not support or oppose any political party or candidate. I am Roberta Holloman, a member of the League of Women Voters, and I will be the moderator tonight. There are 8 candidates for this office. All have been invited to participate in this forum, but Mr. Hunsweck has declined to participate, so we have 7 here tonight. In this contest, you get to vote for 3 candidates. The candidates participating this evening are Andy Huang, Mark Santoro, Darcy Paul, and I'm sorry, let me go back and start over again.
Don Sun.
Andy Huang, Don Sun, Mark Santoro,
Still here.
Darcy Paul, Savita Vaidhyanathan, Barry Chang, and Robert McCoy. They are seated in the order in which they appear on the ballot to help you as you're thinking about your ballot. Maybe you brought it with you and you can write on it and you can mash them up with what's on your ballot. Candidates have agreed to the ground rules for the forum, which include a time limit of 1.5 minutes for their opening statement, 1.5 minutes for answers to questions, and 1 minute for closing statements. We have a timer in the middle of the front row where the candidates can see him and I can see him, and we all keep on our toes. He will signal when there is 30 seconds and then 15 seconds remaining in your time and stop when it has expired. We solicited questions for the candidates from the public via email, and we have a few questions in here for that way, and we also will take questions from the audience. So if you have a question you want to ask, raise your hand, and one of our question card passer-outers will come around and give you a card. Write it on the card. When you have finished writing your question, raise the card, and someone will pick it up, take it to our question sorters, and then they will send it up to me. We use question sorters to help avoid a lot of duplication of questions. So, I think we are now about to start. So with opening statements, we'll start with Andy Huang.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Andy Huang. I've spent 25 years as an engineer, started my own company, managed it as a CEO, and sold it by merger. In memory of my mother, who died of cancer, I've donated most of my merger proceeds to charity for cancer research, and went back to medical school to become an Oriental doctor. So now my patients call me Dr. Andy. I volunteered for our city for 6 years as a block leader, Citizen Corps, and American Red Cross. I'm also the chair of the Public Safety Commission, working with the schools, the sheriff, the fire, and the paramedics. My family and I came to Cupertino 13 years ago, attracted by the outstanding schools, diverse cultures, and a vibrant lifestyle. However, today, Cupertino faces some growing pains. Traffic impacts our productivity and threatens our children's safety. High-density housing impacts traffic, roads, parkings, and worst of all, our schools. As your city councilman, I will limit the high-density housing, champion for our children's safety, and relief from traffic. I value our quality of life, including the protection of our air, the land, the water, caring for seniors, and promoting vibrant retail shops. I'm the only candidate served over 4,000 hours, received both the CREST and President Volunteer Service Award. Vote for me. Andy, I'll be your voice. Thank you.
Thank you. Donson?
Good evening. Since I started my campaign, I have done more than 10 interviews, debates, and endorsement reviews. I feel that I have talked about myself too much. I really want to use this time and the opportunity to now talk about me. I want to use this time to thank the people who have supported me in my life at the Cupertino. First, I would like to thank a colleague at the Planning Commission, Paul Brophy, Winnie Lee, Maggie Kong, and Alan Takahashi, surely former chair Martin Miller. Secondly, I want to thank the Cupertino city staff, especially Planning Department. You are a hard-working group. We are lucky to have you. Thirdly, I want to thank the Cupertino Rotary Club. I've learned so much from all of you. Thank you, Apapa, for giving me many opportunities to work with different communities. Your dedication and the sense of a public service are my inspiration. Many thanks to Cupertino Historical Society. Together, we can preserve Cupertino's history and keep our seniors who have long cultivated this city with their wisdom and hard work. Thank you. Without you, I wouldn't be here today.
Thank you. Mark Santoro?
Hi, I'm Mark Santoro. Currently on the City Council and was mayor 2 years ago in 2010. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for putting on this event and thank all of you for showing up. I think, in my opinion, the most important thing we can all do is pay attention to who we're electing and what they're doing for us. Hopefully all of you actually are watching council meetings or watching the various commission meetings. Most of the people here are very involved in government, and so you get a chance to see a lot more of us than just here if you so choose. With that, I'd also like to thank all my fellow candidates. It's an amazingly difficult thing to run for public office. It takes up a lot of time, and I think it's great that this many well-qualified people are willing to run for public office, and I want to thank them. I think it's a wonderful group you all have to choose from. When I first ran, I spent a lot of time talking to people about what was important. My main goal was open and transparent government, which I've worked hard to achieve, and on the city's website you can now learn a lot about what's going on. People wanted a downtown area. We now have Main Street Cupertino going forward, which I spent a lot of time on. Also have been against high-density housing. There's only been 1/10 as much approved since I've been on the council as the couple years before. There's been 10 times as much money put into roads as the year before I was on the council. Also worked hard on school traffic, initiated the Walk, Bike, Carpool School program, which later be known as WOW, and I think school traffic still needs a lot more, and we certainly need to work on the roads some more, and I'm running to continue what I've started. Thank you.
Darcy Paul?
Hi, my name is Darcy Paul, and I'm a father and husband in Cupertino. My wife Sharon and I have 2 daughters. One of them was born about a month ago, and I just want to make sure that we do what's fair and efficient in Cupertino, and that we lead an honest and civil dialogue throughout our conversations in the city. I'm originally from the Midwest. I was born in Missouri, raised in Kansas. My parents are immigrants from China and Taiwan who moved to the United States in the 1960s for graduate school. So I found myself coming to Cupertino in about 2004, 10 years ago, to practice patent litigation after I graduated from Harvard Law School. And eventually I got involved in the civic arena in Cupertino and ended up just really enjoying it so much, because that was essentially the reason why I decided to go into the law, which was to understand more about what makes our neighborhoods and society tick and be able to help more people. Originally, I was a pre-med in Harvard College, and ultimately decided to go into law school to do precisely what we're doing up here from the dais tonight. So would really appreciate the support and the vote of the community. I'm currently the president of the Chamber of Commerce in Cupertino, as well as the chair of the Parks and Recreation Commission for the second time. I've been on that commission for 7 years, and would like to put in more good park spaces, maintain the ones we have, and also help the infrastructure of our economy. And I'd like to continue to do that from the City Council. Thank you very much.
Savita Vaidhyanathan?
Hi, I'm Savita Vaidhyanathan. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and APAPA for hosting this forum, and thank you all for being here. My husband and I have lived in this community for almost...
Sorry.
Thank you. My husband and I have lived in this community for almost 20 years. We raised our daughter here, and she went to the local public school system, and she's really proud of her foundation, and we're really proud of her. I have devoted about the last 10 years to service in the community. While I was earning my MBA, I worked with business entrepreneur women, and I volunteered my time with high school business students, and that's where my passion for serving the community began. I was on the board of West Valley Community Services for 2 terms, and I also joined the De Anza College Commission to support the youth in need. I joined the Rotary Club of Cupertino about 7 years ago, and it was my humble privilege to have served as president this immediate past year, 2013-14. And in my year as president, one of the things that I really pushed for was to care for the environment. I ran paperless board meetings and cabinet meetings, and I planted trees to honor all our speakers instead of giving them a plaque. So that's where my passion comes from, serving the youth, environment, and seniors in our community. And I would really, really like your support come November 4th. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Barry Chang?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Barry Chang, and I'm one of your elected officials with Mark. Thank you for coming tonight. Really appreciate it, and also appreciate League of Women for hosting this event, and also I want to thank all the candidates here. As Mark mentioned, you got a slate of qualified candidates to choose on it, so the top job is on you, not on us. Okay, number one. Number two, when I ran in 2009, I make promises, 3 promises, major promises, keep the city on the financial sound ground, and then number 2, solve the dog park issue, the divisive, controversial dog park issue, and also number 3, work on the environmental, make sure that DI compliant with the law. So I accomplished most of them. The dog park is happily resolved, both sides happy. It's not an easy job, but we had a dog park in Mary Avenue, so that solved the problem. Our city is much better off than 5 years ago when I got on. We have a reserve, healthy reserve. Financially, we are sound. And the DHI issue, I forced them to cut down 90% of the mercury, and then pushing the Bay Area Air Quality Management District to come out with a more protective rule, Regulation 9, Rule 13. So there's more work to be done, so that's why I'm running. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert McCoy?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Robert McCoy. Currently, I hold the position as Vice Chair of the Public Safety Commission. I'm also a CERT team member. I have a CREST award for over 200 hours of volunteer work within the city. My commitment is proven by all the volunteer work I have done, and I look forward to becoming the representative to the people out there addressing issues that aren't being addressed currently and that need to become a priority for our community. And I look forward to what the future holds for Cupertino. The growth is unavoidable, and we need to make sure that it's done in a beneficial way that's acceptable to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we come to the questions. And so I'll be starting here and going on down. And then when I get to the second question, we'll start with Don Sun and so forth. Okay? First question. Most residents say they want less density and traffic in our city, but the Cupertino Courier has had articles saying that the new general plan alternatives will be taking the city from a suburban town to a more dense urban one, with a 4-story core and more dense construction along Homestead, Wolf, Stevens Creek, and De Anza. What do you think about that change? Andy Huang.
I believe high-density housing impacts our traffic, parking, wear and tear on our roads, and worst of all, our schools. So as your city councilman, I will focus on carefully limiting and managing the high-density housing. I will open a dialogue with the ABAG, who established the housing requirements. I believe all of the laws and regulations are made by the people and therefore can be changed by the people. As your city council, I will present the needs of Cupertino residents and to the ABAG, especially the 142 temporary classrooms in our city, and at the same time trying to understand the ABAC's requirements, work with their expectations in order to establish a win-win solution to limit and manage the high-density housing developments. I will advocate for a common-sense management approach by limiting the impact to our traffic and outstanding schools, adjust adequate commercial parking before it's approved, and set aside for green space. Concurrently, we also need to support projects that add character to our city and provide a vibrant shopping and entertainment experiences. The high real estate value today are creating some opportunities for the developers. And also, these developers are not exceeding the ABAC requirements. We need to manage these high-density housing proposals for impacts to our traffic, parking, and also the developers need to be responsible for the consequences to Cupertino. Thank you.
Thank you. Donson?
Yeah, Tuesday night, we planning commissioner have a long night. He's talking about the general plan amendment. Some of my friends here is attending too. The issue here is in the past 22 months, it's general plan amendment has been discussed in the community. But Tuesday night, there are only few people, only 3 community members coming to this hall to voice their concern. So that I raise question, why is the whole room is filled with the developer instead of a public? So it's that's the things I want to concern. So I raise the first question. In the future general plan, it's fundamental for the future Cupertino 25 years, the history, we're going to follow this general plan. But I encourage the public to go this one. We're going to increase either 1,000 housing or 4,000 houses in the Cupertino, but no public involved. So I suggest in the future, any general plan, public involvement is the first. So we want to make a notice, double the notice radiation to all the public to join the general plan discussion. Second, we probably going to use some video conference to get the people's feedback to the planning commission and the city council's meeting. This is a very abstract concept, but it's very fundamental. We have 10 houses built there with full room, all the neighbors coming here. But 4,000 houses, there's nobody here. That's what my suggestion.
Your time is up. Thank you. Mark Santoro?
Thank you. So I guess I could have saved my opening remarks for this, but once again, the amount of high-density housing has gone down dramatically from before I was on the council. I think the people back then, the residents, wanted to elect officials who weren't in favor of high-density housing, and I certainly am not. The fact that people are concerned about what's being proposed, a proposed general plan amendment is just that. It's proposed. It's not a done deal until the council votes on it. And I suggest everybody here who has concerns over that, as Don said, show up and let us know what you think. Unfortunately, a couple of us up here, including Don and Barry and myself, can't really comment directly on how we will vote on this because we have to vote and we can't. But I can say that in the past, I have been not a big proponent of high-density housing. We are required by the state to add 1,064 high-density housing units, but we have say over where they go. And I think if the council is prudent and the public pays attention, we'll try to put those in locations that are less troublesome to the public. So once again, it depends on what you think. If you want to see a lot of housing in town, I'm not your guy. But if you have issues with that, then I certainly hear where the public's coming from. Thank you.
Darcy Paul?
Hi, yes, thank you. I believe that we need to put the residential concerns first and foremost, because at the end of the day, this is the town of Cupertino residents. So if the residents are essentially telling us in force we don't want further development, then we have to keep that in mind first and foremost on our minds. I've reached out to a lot of voters in Cupertino, and I think that it's more of a multifaceted issue than either yes or no. I think that what we need to do is be very careful about how we proceed. I don't think that we're necessarily going to be the people that in all the cities that are controlled by ABAG throughout the Bay Area that lead the charge. You know, I don't think we're going to be the city that says, okay, well, let's just be the first city that puts in as many of our units as possible. But we do live in a larger community, and what I would like to see is us be able to have those thoughtful conversations throughout the community and keep it relatively slow. I'm really happy with respect to a couple of developments that have really pushed out to the community and asked for what their feelings were. So in Cupertino, we have a lot of people who are pragmatic and not foolish. You can't pull the wool over their eyes. And so at the end of it, if truly there's someone who's coming in and trying to earn a big profit, there will be resistance. And so my counsel is just to go ahead and be practical about it and to listen to the residential input. And I think that we'll be able to develop well in that regard. Thanks.
Thank you. Savita Vaidhyanathan.
Hi. We are at the epicenter of Silicon Valley, so we cannot ignore the growth around us. But at the same time, I agree with what the fellow members here have said. We need to listen to the residents first. So dissemination of information to the residents is really important. While I've been knocking on doors, everybody has expressed their concern about the development, and it's unbridled, and they say we don't get the information ahead of time. But what I am asking is, we cannot ignore it completely. So the 1,064 units, where do they go? There are priority development areas. If we look at development in the transit-oriented areas, we can actually accommodate at least a portion of them where it won't impact our school traffic. And if it is where there is public transportation available, then again, you can take the public transportation and again not impact the school as well as the other residential areas. But the primary factor is we need to get our residents to come to these meetings and to the general plan amendment meetings, like Don said, and express their opinions so that the feedback is there immediately and the correct decision can be taken. And another thing that we really need to keep in mind is when it comes to collaboration with the school districts, we can actually communicate with the school district through the students so that you can get more participation and actually have a dialogue so that it doesn't come to a point where we actually take the wrong decision and then have an issue after the general plan amendment is passed. Thank you.
Barry Chang.
Couple correction first. First, the Cupertino Courier is wrong. The amendment, general plan amendment is not done yet. It's still during the hearing. And then second correction on Don is there's quite a few public hearings, so it's not only one. There will be one coming up on October 20th. So if you care about the housing element, come to this room on October 7th here. Oh, no, October 20th here. And then the City Council will take it on November 3rd. As what Council Member Mark Santoro said, he's correct on this one, that it's not done there yet. Okay, it's not done there yet. So you still can give your input. I'm one of the few with Robert, we too care about this issue. We were at the Planning Commission meeting here last Tuesday night, two nights ago, and we stay here till 11 o'clock. And we don't have to be here, but we choose to be here because it's an important issue to the resident, and that's why we care. We care about what's going on, and we want to listen to the community. So if you care, please come on October 20th, Planning Commission meeting next Monday, and then come to a City Council meeting on November 3rd. This is an important issue. It could be a so-called crisis because of the traffic congestion. The parking is getting to a lot of people. When I walk on precinct, knocking on door, talking to residents, they say it's up to here already. So, but crisis in Chinese means dangers and also opportunity. So I'll stop right here.
Thank you. Robert McCoy.
As I said before, I believe growth is going to happen no matter what. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. It needs to be done in a responsible manner. In regards to high-density housing, I believe that's going to happen no matter what. The thing we need to look at is the location of where it's going to be. How is it going to affect the traffic or public services that we already provide? I believe that locations closer to a highway or an expressway would be more ideal than right here along Stevens Creek. So I would keep my mind open when developments are proposed, but I also believe that the community has the final say in what they want here. And Everyone needs to show up to meetings. Everyone needs to have their voice be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next question, and we're going to start with Don Sun. The city has an ordinance about protecting hillsides and wildlife. And what would you do to either enforce that ordinance, or do you think it should be changed?
Okay, generally, as a planning commissioner, I cannot exactly talk about the particular site, always any decision on planning application, but I give you the general ideas. In the past 4 years, as a planning commissioner, I only give the particular principle. That principle is we focus on long-term city planning instead of driving by campaign issues. I told everyone who talked to me, I always talk. I don't talk about a particular issue. I'm going to promise citizens do this, promise do that. Only thing is for the Cupertino city, we need a long-term goal-driven to absorb all the citizens' input. The first day when I be the planning commissioner, I think I have a 2-year city planner experience. I have a college, 4 years planning, urban planning background. I have a 2 years master degree in regional science. I think I'm a genius. I know city very well. But the first day when I have a public hearing, I know citizens in this area, they're much smarter than us. So it's for any particular the project, I always keep my mind open. Same thing. For this one, the city needed people's input, and I respect everyone's the opinions about how city develop, go to which direction. In general, they have a 4 years voting record. You can see my voting record. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
So we don't actually have a hillside/wildlife protection ordinance per se, but we do have ordinances to protect both of those, primarily the hillsides. So for me, this is always a mixed thing. I'm a strong believer in the environment and protecting open space, and I think it's great that we have a group here that actually buys land and preserves it for all of us for the rest of the time. I think that's a great thing, and I think it's really, important and very much needed. Likewise, we've done things with Blackberry Farm. The taxpayers here all voted a bond to buy that to maintain it and keep it green forever. On the other hand, there are some residential units up there that are private property, and I think we also have to respect private property rights. So private property is different than public lands that need to be preserved, and so I think we have to balance that with protecting the rights of private property owners. That's not saying, we're looking at the tree ordinance recently, the private property owner shouldn't be able to clear cut 20 acres of trees that infect the public, but certainly they should have some rights as well. But I do think it's extremely important to protect our hills. I also think it's important to protect our wildlife, and actually we don't do enough of that, in my opinion. I had a deer on my property one day that was ill, and I found out that you couldn't get the deer treated. It's considered vermin by a lot of people, but they couldn't do anything with it other than let the thing suffer, and I thought that was very sad. So it would be nice to have a little bit better protections for our wildlife. Thank you.
Darcy Paul?
I respect the rule of law, and I also think that fairness and efficiency are extremely important to make sure that we are able to enact the ideals of our society. So with respect to the hillsides, we have a slope density formula. My tendency is to think that if you are entitled to build a certain number of units based upon that formula that exists, then you should be allowed to do so. However, if you're not, as you're trying to ask for a greater exception, my feeling is that we should look at exceptions with a greater and greater degree of skepticism as the exceptions get greater and greater. This is really more of a pragmatic approach than anything else. On both sides of a particular rule, we should have expectations regarding how that rule works. It works the same for everyone, and there should be some clarity with respect to the people that are trying to be within the bounds of that requirement. So as a lawyer, one of the biggest things I've seen that results in these types of disagreements or litigation and confusion is when we're a little bit too lax with the system. And I think that if people have an overall sentiment where they want to change the rule, then there is a process for that. But in order to keep things fair and efficient, we should be sure to adhere to the laws that we're enacting. Thanks.
Savita Vaidhyanathan.
I understand the impact of building into our green space, and I definitely subscribe to the idea of limiting our urban footprint. But at the same time, I understand what everybody else here is saying. We absolutely need to save the property rights of the builder and at the same time protect our environment and wildlife. This particular property that we are discussing has certain issues that if we talk to the residents, they are extremely concerned about the wildlife and disturbing the hillside. In my opinion, we have to really consider the pros and cons here. Getting a trail for bike enthusiasts versus driving on Stevens Canyon, or opening it up to wildlife where you can preserve the environment and also protect the neighborhood without increasing the density in the area. So I'm really concerned about the development, and I am with the people here, and I really want to understand this issue further and also understand the legalities, which I am not fully aware of. But it is very important, and I'm an environmentalist. I want to protect the environment and be very careful about how we upset the wildlife in the area. Thank you.
Thank you. Barry Chang.
When Councilmember Mark Santoro was advocating for the people by the people, the accessibility, the transparency, I do it, okay? On this issue here, when the resident has concern, they call me up, they want to meet with me, I met with them. And then after I met with them, listened to their concern, and I called the developer, called the city, and have the city set up a meeting with the developer to show me the property. It's a big acre. It's many acres out there. I spent 3 hours walking around that property with the developer. They show me where the development, what they're going to do. So I spent time. I spent time to understand what the problem, and then listen to the community, and then figure out what would be the best for our city. So this issue I cannot comment because it's coming up fairly soon. So that's why I don't want to get into it. But I'm the only candidate endorsed by Sierra Club. So you know my environmental stand. I take a very strong stand on environmental issue. And as I say, I listen to the community. Even though today we have I belong to the environmental review group. We are reviewing a hillside, one house, one single family development on Rainbow, at the end of Rainbow Drive. I took my time, drove up there, walk around that property, and then so when I do it, I study and I'm well prepared, so I know what to do and how to vote on it today, and I give the staff the instruction what to do. So if you care, if you're concerned about that project, coming up to the meeting, Planning Commission meeting soon.
Thank you. Robert McCoy.
Yes, thank you. I'm very well aware of this situation as well. I believe it's not beneficial at all to the group that is fighting very strongly against this, and for the right reasons. That's their backyard. One of the residents has lived there for over 65 years, and I feel that the developer is ignoring his personal feelings, his thoughts on it, rather than doing a small or a medium scale project. He's going all out, 18 houses in one area. It's just absolutely ridiculous to me. And on top of that, it's going to destroy the land there. It's going to destroy the wildlife that's there. Right now, I have to drive my son over to that area for him to be able to see a deer or crows even, for that matter. We get to see a squirrel here in the concrete jungle, and we need to keep that. Everyone needs to be able to bring their children or their family members over there and see what wildlife really is, because we're losing it very quickly around here. And personally, I just think it's absolutely a ridiculous proposal that's going to be proposed.
Thank you. Andy Huang.
Okay. One of the reasons why my family and I came to Cupertino, in addition to its outstanding schools, is because the open space and the green environment of Cupertino. This is one of the things that we value the most when coming to Cupertino. So I do believe that we should protect our open space, our environment, and frequently when I drive home at night, I will see the deers on the road, and that's one of the pleasant things before actually going to my home to see some of the wildlife around Cupertino. And I value that dearly, and especially my children, they value that a lot. So I like to believe that as a city council, we should uphold and protect the environment based on the ordinance that has to be established. And if the developers would like to make a change, then prior to acquisition of the particular lot or the space, they should have an open communication and dialogue with the Planning Commission, with the Planning Department, as well as the City Council. So this way, there are no misunderstanding further down the road. I do believe in open dialogue before any decision is made, and more importantly, open dialogue while the decision is being decided. So I will advocate that in the future, the developers should have an open dialogue with all of the city staff, the commissioners, and the city council. So this way, we can prevent any collision further down the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we get to the next question, everyone's had a turn on this one, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
You want me to say one more time?
No, just kidding.
Rebate.
Monday night, I even called on someone a second time. But before we get to the next question, I've been reminded to remind people in the audience that we are broadcasting live tonight, and also the city is recording this, and they will be replaying this forum. And we discourage other people from recording and taking out parts of their recording for campaign purposes. We like to have everyone be able to see all the candidates answer all the questions. Okay, thank you. So I mentioned Monday night, and we had a candidate forum for the school board. One of the questions there, which has come up again tonight, is traffic congestion at the schools. Do you have any solution to the traffic congestion at the schools? And we'll start with Mr. Santoro.
Great question. As I started my opening remarks, it was one of the biggest issues that people had in the city. The first few years I was on the city council, I couldn't get the city to put a single nickel towards trying to solve the traffic problems around the school. The school officials thought it was a waste of time. The council members thought it was a waste of time. Their answer every time I asked for funding to help with the problem was, well, you can't fix the problem, so why try? And my response to that was, well, if you don't try, obviously you can't fix the problem. So finally, one time there was $29,000 little dollars left over, which I managed to get the council to agree to put into working on traffic problems around the schools. I named a program WBC for Walk, Bike, Carpool to School, and we started trying to help with the problem. While it's only gotten a little bit better, at least it's gotten a little better. As mayor, I initiated meetings with the schools to help, the school boards to help share places where we can find overlap. For example, we couldn't, as a city, adjust school hours, but the school board can. I was happy that my fellow members actually allowed us to assign 3 commissions, the Teen Commission, the Public Safety Commission, and the Bicycle Ped Commission, to look into the problem. And the Teen Commission, the first year didn't do too good, but the second year I went to a meeting and this teen said, well, I named this program called WOW at my school. And this young lady called Shali actually started the WOW program that night at the Teen Commission when I was there, and I encouraged her to try, and the rest of the teens, and they did. And as most of you know, it's been a pretty big success. So the problem's still bad, but we're getting a little better, and hopefully with the help of the schools, we'll do better in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Paul?
Hey, yes, and the Walk One Week program was overlooked by the Parks and Recreation Commission for at least a couple of years before it hit the greater attention of the City Council. It was something that we encouraged from the outset. There were a couple of kind of competing provisions, or programs, I should say, and WOW really had some good legs. And I think that's a good indication of if you have people that are really enthusiastic and willing to follow through, you can get these programs done. And I think we need to encourage those types of programs as well. I don't think that's going to be a complete solution to traffic congestion. I've reached out to a lot of members of our community and asked for feedback, both in written and direct communication. And one of the really compelling ideas I've seen in the last couple of weeks is a resident telling me that, well, why not think about implementing a significant busing program? Because we don't really have a very a very substantial bus program in Cupertino. And one of the things that kind of made me think, well, wait a second, but then made me think, well, maybe that's more feasible when I thought about it, was the suggestion that we actually charge the residents whose kids are using the buses. And the number was, say, $10 a ride, but I think we can tweak that, in terms of just making sure that a program like that is adequately funded. So that's one of the solutions, and I'd be really happy to explore any other feasible alternatives. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Vaidhyanathan?
When we have something good, everybody wants to be a part of it. So our schools obviously attract a lot of students and therefore a lot of traffic. And that has been one of the primary concerns of most of the people while I've been knocking on neighborhoods. So I've been discussing this with many people, and for me, transportation and environment are two sides of the same coin. So I said, how about we think of having a hop-on, hop-off kind of service of a shuttle, which helps the students by day and during their, when they're returning from school. And in after hours, it helps our residents and our seniors get to where they need to go. And the same shuttle service can provide that, so we have to deal with the operating costs, of course, but like Darcy suggested, we charge a small amount, so everybody pays their way into and uses those school buses. And it's been done in so many other cities like Palo Alto and San Mateo, where they get grants from the city and county and the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. And there are federal grants for this too, where we can actually get grants because they want us to do something for the environment. They want us to address the transportation issue. So we can actually think of innovative solutions that solve more than one problem. And you can actually use that, and that will come to my point of I love multimodal transport, where you go, you take the shuttle and you can maybe you can even take a bus after that, so you don't have to be in your car at all. So the one solution, having shuttle buses and also having alternate bike paths and trails, will really alleviate the traffic situation for our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chang?
Walk and bike to school. This city council is working on it. As a council member Santoro said, we work hard, we try to find a solution. But I think it's not enough. As I told the council many times, let's extend it to 3 weeks, because to form a habit for the kids to walk and bike to school, you need to have a 3 weeks, 21-day consecutive day to form the habit. If you only have 1 week, it's not going to do it. But I proposed several times. The current council failed to do it. I'm sorry to say that, okay? And I also proposed to have a shuttle bus around our school during the school hour. Again, the current council did not approve it, so die. But I think that the shuttle bus is a great idea, not only for the student, also for senior. So if they want to come to the downtown area, which we're going to have on the Main Street fairly soon, then the people can just take a bus. Then you will solve the traffic congestion problem. You also will solve the parking problem. So the shuttle bus, a small shuttle bus like a Palo Alto, the Margarita, running around, that's a great idea. So I have talked to the city manager to looking into that, and then I hope this council or the next council will bring this issue, and then that's looking into it. Of course, I need your support. If I cannot get the majority of the council to agree, you guys need to back me up, say this is a great idea, let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McCoy?
It's a great question. As a public safety commissioner, I am fully aware of the issue. Majority of parents are actually afraid to let their children walk or ride their bike to school because of the other vehicles on the road. There seems to be a real lack of compassion nowadays. Everyone's in a hurry, and they only care about themselves when it comes down to it. And it hurts me a lot, but the fact is it's going to happen no matter what. I see in front of schools, there's a large landscaped area usually. Why can't they engineer that, make it into a bigger drop-off area, provide less congestion in front of the school, route it through the school itself in the front of it? The parking lots right now are way too small. You drive in and you're stuck in there if there's 2 other cars. So like Homestead High School has a horseshoe, I think most schools around here need to have that kind of idea too, off of the main street in front. The Public Safety Commission, since we're aware of the issue, we actually made a proposal of a change of ordinance to allow children 14 years or younger to actually ride their bikes on the sidewalk to school. And we're hoping that the City Council will agree with that. Thank you.
Mr. Huang?
I believe there are actually two types of traffic problems around the city. There's a general traffic problem as well as the traffic around the schools. For the city general traffic problem, as an engineer, I would recommend to leverage some of the high-tech models that has been used in Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago, where a coordinated control of traffic signal lights will enable a group of the cars to move successfully through all the green lights. This way, we can maximize the traffic throughput in the high-traffic streets such as Wolf, De Anza, as well as the Stevens Creek area. For the traffic around the schools, however, it requires a different type of approach because the parent need to drop and stop and drop off the children. So in addition to what Public Safety Commission has done in terms of encouraging the kids to walk, bike, and carpool, I believe that we should provide additional funding to hire additional school resource officers, crossing guards, so this way we can have more of a direct traffic around the school during the school hours. I will also serve as a catalyst to bring together all the city staff, the sheriff's office, the PTA groups, as well as the schools to develop some implementable school-specific solutions, such as staggered hours for starting hours around the tri-school or the quad-school areas. I've also examined some of the traffic around the neighboring cities. Have any of you driven down 85, 10 a.m. in the morning? There's still a traffic, okay? Those are some of the other issues we need to address. Thank you.
Mr. Sen?
Yeah, the last one is probably so they have all the idea exhausted already, so left no solution for me. I have been driving my son for the past 10 years. They coming from my elementary to all the way to the end of college. Every day, every year, I drive them. It's minutes by minutes longer and longer. Every election year, people promise they're going to solve the problem, and we becoming chasing the ideas, the competition, because the spending public money is really easy. For this, the traffic issue, for me, it's really pain. It's 10 years I drive my two sons to school every day, and now it's my solution. It's we have to use all the public opinions together. We don't provide the shuttle, we don't provide the pedestrian, and provide the bike. We just solve problem together. The reason how to do it is that we concentrate on one street, one school, one day. Wednesday is the most congested school day. Every school is started from 9:30. If we can solve Wednesday, the rest day will be much easier. One school we start from Monte Vista, one street will probably start McMillan. If we solve the area, one school, we can expand it all the model, whatever the shuttle or minibus, any means we can use it. That's the way we save the public resource, save the public money. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next question, the person writes, I came here with a different question. However, my house was robbed yesterday. The policewoman said that the robberies at Indian-owned houses was very common, and we should not expect this to be solved. My question is, if this is a known issue, what is the police doing about it? Do you consider this did you consider this when you approved the new 10-year contract? I think that's the contract with the Sheriff's Department. And we're starting with Mr. Paul.
I think that sentiment is something that I would like to see disappear in Cupertino. I think it's absolutely unacceptable that there are people that feel that because of their particular identity or ethnicity that they're being targeted. And I also feel like we need to be particularly sensitive to people's perspectives. I'm not an immigrant myself, but my parents are. They moved from Taiwan to the Midwest in the 1960s. And when I came to Cupertino, it was, I'm from Kansas, so it's a little bit like Dorothy coming out of the house and landing after the tornado. It was just a very different kind of environment. And I really felt an affinity towards the community, which is one of the big reasons why I am participating in this capacity to try to help people. But at the same time, it really kind of pained me to hear that back then, maybe 10, even 20 years ago, there was a large influx of immigrants from East Asia, and one of the feelings that they had was that, well, if you see shoes in front of houses, they're more likely to get robbed. So, this is something that we really need to work on as a community. This is one of those things where I don't think that it is a good idea for people to feel like they're not being tolerated or accepted, or they're more susceptible to these types of crimes. So if I were on council, I'd just make it a very strong point to drive home the idea of fairness. That would be my contribution. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Vaidhyanathan?
I can definitely speak to that. I come from India, obviously, as you can see. And there are some months in the year when Indians from particular parts of the country celebrate a lot of festivals. And they like to wear their gold jewelry. And that is especially true at this time of the year. It comes in the period of October and probably the first week of November. But everybody is so scared to keep jewelry in their home. I'm wearing all fake jewelry because I'm scared to keep anything gold in my home, except probably my ring. But that's not how we should be. We should have the freedom to keep what we want in our home and believe that the city will keep us safe. When I spoke with the sheriffs, they said, oh, the people need to be more careful and you need to have neighborhood crime watch. Yes, we will do all that, but there needs to be additional security and patrol during the months that they do know that Indians celebrate certain festivals, because that's when they bring their jewelry home. That's when they want to dress up and go out. And outside my house, I really don't have shoes. But there are other people who come to my home, and they know it's a home of an Indian. So it's something that we cannot say that just because we are Indian, you get terrorized and you have to be scared in the city that you live and you call home. I've lived in this country longer than and in this city longer than I've lived in any city in my entire life. I call this home and I want to be safe here, and we need cultural sensitivity from the Sheriff's Department. Thank you.
Mr. Chang?
I definitely agree that we need to have a cultural sensitivity, and so I will talk to the city manager, talk to the council, and then I have them pass on the message to the sheriff. We signed a contract with them, so we can ask them to be a little bit more cultural sensitive. I remember 15, 20 years ago when there's a burglary around Cupertino was targeted to Chinese. The reason is the shoe outside, because of Chinese culture to leave the shoe outside of the house. And also the Chinese newspaper, World Journal, Xingtao, they're in Chinese. And when they deliver, they just throw in the driveway, and that's an easy pickup for the robber. So my suggestion is for now, just try to keep your valuable safe somewhere, and then don't tell people that you have some valuable in your home. And then in case you encounter the robber in your house, don't try to solve the problem yourself. Call the police, okay? Because I find out some of the residents try to deal with it themselves. That's very dangerous, okay? Mm-hmm. One case is one of the house in nearby Kennedy Junior High School about 2 years ago got robbed because the first son was just graduated from high school. The grandmom prepared $30,000 cash for him. And then for some reason, this message was out, and then the house got robbed. So if you have something like that, don't advertise, don't talk about it at all.
Thank you. Mr. McCoy?
First, I'd like to say I'm sorry to whoever had that experience, and I'm very shocked at the fact that a deputy told a citizen that it probably won't be solved. I know for a fact as a commissioner that we have people out there 24 hours a day working to solve these issues proactively and through investigations with detectives. This is an issue that's all over the city. It's not just one race being targeted, it's anybody. You leave a window open, you go to the store, someone's gonna climb in it and take your things. If you see something that's out of the ordinary in your neighborhood, you need to report it. You need to have a sheriff come, make contact, find out what these people are all about. And it might not be anything major, but it could turn into something pretty substantial. There's an arrest probably about every 3 weeks of a burglary crew here that works the city, and then a new crew will come in and do the same thing, take up where they left off. The penalties when these guys are getting arrested is maybe a year in jail. It's not really harsh penalty they're receiving. So maybe that's another thing we need to look at. Make it a little bit more dangerous for someone to want to climb through your window. What are they going to throw away in the end? Thank you.
Mr. Huang?
As the chair of Public Safety Commission, I had the privilege to ride along with our sheriff's office. And I really respect them putting their lives on the line to protect our safety. At the same time, also sad to hear that sometimes houses do get burglarized. So you have to look at what is in the mind of those criminals when they target or pick the houses. It's what we call a target of opportunity. Criminals are actually looking for houses that has some telltale sign in terms of no one's at home, valuables are at home when no one's at home, and then, of course, then they will select those houses. So what can we do as a resident, as a citizen, to prevent those crime of opportunities? If you look at the car burglaries, well, don't put your phones, don't put your GPS in plain sight, because that only takes 10 seconds for someone to break through the windshield and get your GPS or your computer. At the same time, with regarding to houses, well, if you install, for example, I have an alarm in my house sign in the front lawn, that will be a telltale sign to the criminals. Maybe I should move on to the next house. And then for Asians, I guess if we can move our shoes from outside the house to inside the house, that will also prevent some telltale signs to the criminals. But I think most important of all, we as a neighbor, we need to look out for each other. Recently, about a few summers ago, I went to take out a restaurant, and then as I was walking, I saw some person walking around the neighborhood who does not fit the neighborhood. I called in. By the time I came home, he was already arrested. So I think that would be probably the best way. Prevention is better than the cure. Thank you.
Mr. Sun?
Yeah, I think it's, we have two public safety commissioner here. They are expert on the safety issue. I'm just very unfortunate. 2 years ago, my home burglarized, and 3 months ago, my car was burglarized. It's right in the Stephen Creek. It's a very, very busy shopping center. I just feel it's so bad for myself, not lucky. And I want to focus not only on the public safety issue, but on the overall the city's working relationship with the police department. I know we have a very good relationship, but it's year after year we found that based on my precinct working on the east side of the Cupertino, more and more house has been burglarized. This issue we need to address, but again, I'm not an expert on the safety issue. I want to open to the public and working with the other city council in the future to address this issue later. Thank you.
Mr. Santoro?
So I actually grew up in some not so nice neighborhoods and had a house burglarized, had the unfortunate experience of looking down the wrong end of a gun. And it's frightening and really ruins big portions of your life, and I know it's difficult. I would like to point out one thing that hasn't been pointed out here. Cupertino is continuously voted as one of the top 10 safest cities in the United States. We're often in the top 5 of cities our size or bigger. So Cupertino really is a good place to live. Part of that question was, did the city council consider things that were going on before we extended the contract? And the answer, I believe Barry remembers, is yes, we did. In fact, there was issues. A lot of immigrants come from countries where they're nervous and frightened by the police. So we instructed the sheriffs to do an outreach program to new immigrants to help them understand that the sheriff is here to help. For example, there was a rash of burglaries in one area, and store owners wouldn't call the police because they were afraid, and then the next person would get robbed next door. So they're trying. There's some outreach programs. If you look online, the county sheriff that's looking to help teach people how to work better with the sheriff. And it is true that certain groups are, old people are targeted. Indians tend to have a lot of East Indians, a lot of jewelry, as do a lot of Asians. And so burglars are looking for the easiest thing. It's the old story about the guy trying to outrun the bear and put his tennis shoes on and said, the guy said, you can't outrun the bear. And he says, I don't need to outrun the bear, I just need to outrun you. So if you make your house a more difficult target, we make our whole city more difficult, it'll help us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, what's your stand on Lehigh issues, What's your commitment to protect our environment from pollution? And we'll start with Ms. Vaidhyanathan.
Just need a moment. Our city thrives because of our schools. We love our open spaces, and we love the diverse community that we live in. But we also have to think of things that are not in our city. Traffic and pollution do not respect city boundaries. So when it comes to Lehigh, we need to think of the residents who live there and who are affected by the pollution there. I will work with other cities and agencies to make sure that Lehigh abides by regulations. And when it comes to air pollution, there should be no more mercury coming over the residents. There should be the single stack chimney, and no more pollution of the water. We need to also make sure that the land use we need to enhance anything that requires any permission from the county and ensure that the residents are part of the process. We need to ensure that we talk to the county, talk to the residents, and Lehigh cannot be allowed to go ahead and take matters into their own hands without abiding by the regulations of BACMID, EPA, and other regulations which stipulate that they cannot put another new mine pit. And I will work with the residents on this issue. Thank you.
Mr. Chang?
I've been working on this issue since a long time, since 2007. The key question is, if we all have to obey the law, why we allow Lehigh to not in compliance all this year, not in compliance with the Federal Clean Water Act, Clean Air Act, and the state mining law, and then the county's ordinance, which is ridiculous, totally ridiculous. And the reason is because they're a big corporation. They hire our former mayor as their public relation manager and promote her to be the VP. And so they can get around with the political end. And very unfortunately, last year, we were asking the city of Cupertino to sign up the amicus brief because we filed a lawsuit, the citizen group filed a lawsuit against Lehigh, and then also the county. Embarrassing to me, okay? This city failed to do it, okay? Council, Mark Santoro did not approve it. He was with Lehigh. I'm on the other side. I'm trying to sign up the amicus brief. City of Sunnyvale signed up. DeSoto Hill signed up. DeSoto signed up. Even Portola Valley signed up. And it's so unfortunate. We are right next to it. This is cement plant, and the city of Cupertino is not signing up, which is embarrassing. Okay, so this needs to be changed. If we, as I said earlier, if we have to obey the law, they have to obey the law. Lehigh is owned by Heidelberg Cement Plant. People have to understand if they are polluting now, they cannot operate in Germany. The German company, German government will shut them down right there. We are not asking to shut them down. We ask them to comply with the law. If we all have to do it, they have to do it too.
Your time's up.
Sure, thank you.
Mr. McCoy?
Well, thank you for bringing the subject up. Seems that everyone wants to avoid it at forums, so thank you. My mailer went out today, and my stance on Lehigh is fairly obvious. Lehigh is polluting our air, they're polluting our water, and they're the largest mercury polluter in the Bay Area. Not only affecting Cupertino, but a lot of major cities around us. And I'm still in shock as to why Cupertino didn't want to join with the other cities to fight against this. I'm in shock of how the county is working to allow them to continue to operate even though they're not in compliance. And the freedom they're getting when the cost is our health and our lives are at risk because of their greed, that they have to keep operating. As a council member, I will fight to make sure that they become compliant and that pollution levels are reduced even more than what it is now. Thank you.
Mr. Huang?
As a resident of Cupertino, I value our quality of life, and this includes protecting our air, our land, and our water. Every resident of Cupertino needs to follow and adhere to the law, and violators usually will be educated initially by the sheriff's office, and then later on will be reinforced And then finally, the sheriff will enforce the law if you do not obey the law. So equally, I believe businesses, just like a people, need to adhere to the law of our city, our state, and our federal government. Every business needs to follow the federal, state regulations. This includes the EPA, other jurisdictions, emission and water discharge regulations. So I believe as a council member, we need to follow the law, and as a business, we want to make sure that they follow all the regulatory agency regulations. So as a council member, if I'm elected, I want to make sure all of us, people, business, whether it's within the city limits as well as neighboring cities, all need to follow the law. Thank you.
Mr. Sun?
Yeah, I think Cupertino is a fair large part of it didn't impact by the Lehigh, but definitely on certain part of the Cupertino has been affected by the Lehigh's impact. The things is I talked to the both sides. On the one side is the people is pretty upset, anger. On the other side, they were defensive, say it's not jurisdiction. So how we can reach the conclusion together? That's for my suggestion. I talked to the people. The best way is we establish some under the similar like a planning commission. Instead of what we call it whatever the environment commission, we put a 5-party together. Sierra Club, residents representative, some city either council member or staff member, and then we put the Lehigh's representative there. By holding quarterly the meeting, we ask the Lehigh to generate a report or third party have the monitoring report. If there have any violation, we ask Lehigh to pay for it. It's definitely they are going to agree with us to pay for it. If there's no things happen, we just keep moving on, let Lehigh to run their own business. That's ways that we can get the facts first. So far, I think it's both sides we argue each other with a lot of factual issue. First, I think it's this committee going to help us to get things on the facts clear first, and then we're looking for a solution. Thank you.
Mr. Santoro?
It must be election time. People forget lots of things. Long before Barry Chang was on the council, I was the first elected official to ask our city attorney to look into Lehigh issue. Before any other city looked at it, before any other elected official looked at it, I asked to have it looked into because there were concerns of our residents. And I assumed either Lehigh's doing everything right, in which case our residents should know they're safe, or they're doing terrible things, in which case we should get on them. I think the truth was somewhere in between. People forget that about 13 times I voted against Lehigh and put more restrictions on them. Voted to send letters. As the mayor, I sent a letter to the Bay Area Quality Management, which did a lot of good in terms of getting more strict restrictions on Lehigh than even the EPA had suggested. The reason I voted against the amicus brief is legal counsel advised me that we had no chance of winning. All we were going to do is piss off the county, which I'd already spoke out against, but there just wasn't a good reason for doing it. The judge threw out the brief without even opening it or reading it, so it did no good. And the fact that a council member is now accusing me of doing the wrong thing, who actually filed the lawsuit, I think there's a conflict of interest if you're even voting on it. Personally, I think it's a little emotional for you, so you should, take that with a grain of salt. So one last thing, there's an air quality management district put an air monitoring system at Monte Vista, and the air downwind of Lehigh was actually cleaner than the air in all the surrounding cities. So though I know we need to keep an eye on them, we need to make sure the county polices them, our residents are not in danger, in my opinion.
Mr. Paul?
I think this is one of those classic examples of where we need to really embrace these twin ideas of civility and honesty. Because at the end of the day, if you're not civil to who you perceive as an adversary, their motivations are not necessarily to be perfectly open and honest and try to get these solutions done. So this is precisely why I take this approach. I'm an attorney. I've written amicus briefs. I've written writs of certiorari to the Supreme Court. And I think that if we're going to sign on to an amicus brief, we should know what it says first. And we should be given some leave to affect the content of anything that we sign on to as a city. Now, that being said, I sat here 5 years ago in 2009 running for city council. This was pre-marriage, pre-kids, and I basically said, look, if you have some concerns about the Bay Area Air Quality Management District's licensing, contact your congressperson and have them ask the EPA to do a review. Now, this heavily I guess, angered some people in the community with respect to, trying to, challenge this particular entity. But in the years since, I've become the Chamber of Commerce president, but I'm also endorsed by the AFL-CIO labor union. And these are kind of diametric types of concepts to a lot of people's minds. But I think the reason why they support me is that I take this approach, and it's all about efficacy and trying to figure out what the problems are. So we really need to sit rationally, look at what the facts are, and then try to come up with those types of solutions. And that, frankly, is what makes this area really great. Thanks.
Thank you. And unfortunately, this is going to be the last question. I'm sorry that we didn't get to all of your questions, but I invite you to stay afterwards and talk to the candidates to ask things that you didn't get answers to right now. And I'm finding that my last question. Why should the typical resident homeowner in Cupertino care about adding affordable housing in Cupertino? And we start this one with Barry Chang.
That's part of the state mandate we have to deliver. Okay, so it's every city, so that's why. Okay, so that question answer, I want to use my time to rebuttal what Council Member Santoro say. He's accusing me conflict of interest. The city attorney already say I have no conflict of interest to vote on it. For him to accuse me here after he fully aware, that's not right. Okay, number one. Number two, when Dang San say Lehigh is only impacting a small portion of Cupertino, he's totally wrong. The entire Cupertino, the entire Bay Area is impacted by Lehigh. Okay. Number three, Lehigh sales tax, our city doesn't get a penny out of it at all. Only county get about $2 to $3 million sales tax a year. Do you know how much the health care costs for the entire Bay Area? It's about $70 million. So Lehigh is making profit on your health, my health, and our children's health. So that's a critical issue we have to face on it. This is an important issue. For the council doesn't know the issue and say we want to have a five-party to talk about. He doesn't study. He doesn't spend time to learn what the issue is. So that's another question. Okay. The most important one is, as I say, this cement plant cannot operate in Germany. Okay, with the standard. They are polluting the air. They're harming our health. So we got to put a stop. Ask them to comply with the law. So that's very important for us to think about it, for our health and our children's health. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McCoy.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Why should the typical resident homeowner in Cupertino care about adding affordable housing in Cupertino?
Well, I think it's only fair if we add affordable housing because not everyone's making the $40 an hour projected salary that you have to make to even be able to pay bills nowadays. I think we need to give everyone a chance to come live here and experience Cupertino and what it has to offer and become a productive member of our community. However, we need to make sure it doesn't turn into a project or a ghetto at the same time. So I would hope that's closely monitored if in fact we do have low-income housing. Thank you.
Mr. Huang?
Okay. I believe the last time when I saw the data, we have over 100 BMRs, below market rate, housing available from our housing commission. So Cupertino does have abundance of below market rate housing available. So the question remains is if we have so many available housing for the low income folks, how come they're not being purchased? How come people are not moving in there? As a public safety commissioner, the first activity that I did was I went to the sheriff's office and I encouraged the captain to communicate with all his deputies because I like to see our deputy living actually in Cupertino instead of traveling from all the outer cities. And some of them have to travel over 1 hour every morning, every night, just to come to serve our community. So I like to see our deputies living in our community. At the same time, I also like to encourage our teachers, our firefighters, the paramedics, all live within our city. And I believe that's a benefit of having the below market rate housing for some of the civil servants who really cannot afford Cupertino on a regular rate. And I believe the BMR serves as a great purpose for them. In addition, during when I walk door to door with a lot of residents, some of the seniors also express interest. They say, well, I like to have my children move into my house, but where am I going to go? Unless there is a below market rate housing available. So I like to encourage the ABAC to look into in the future, also make a special provision for our seniors as addition to the BMR. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sun.
Yeah, generally affordable housing for the planning commissioner, and also we attending to the housing commission. It's affordable housing is actually a state required for rich social equality to help the people who cannot afford the regular house, but they also need the help, and they are teacher, nursing, and the public servant. So it's that's just requirement for the regular residents. We don't need to concern too much as long as the city obey the law to provide affordable housing. That's it.
Mr. Santoro.
Why should the typical resident care? Because it affects your life. That's why you should care. The state has mandated that certain amount of housing requirements be met, and through ABAG, the Association of Area Governors, we've been assigned 1,064 high-density housing units that we have to zone for. Doesn't mean they have to be built, but it has to be zoned. The reason you should pay attention and what's going on is the council has a choice of where they're put. And so that's important. We cannot not obey the state mandate, but we do have some say as to where they go. So it is important to everyone. You wouldn't necessarily want 200 high-density housing units right next to you. Maybe you like them somewhere else in the city. So it is, as Mr. Sun pointed out, Commissioner Sun, it is going on at this time in the city. We are looking at those housing numbers, so it's definitely a good question. And if you care about that, you should pay attention and come and speak on the issue.
Mr. Paul.
We should care about it because it's the right thing to do. If we have more affordable housing units available in Cupertino, then you tend to get more of a broad-based perspective of what's going on out there in the world. I'm not saying that we're going to solve all the problems around the Bay Area with respect to areas like Oakland or East San Jose, but I think that it's good to get a broad-based perspective. I grew up in Kansas, and I'm a product of public school systems. And the school I went to was very, very diverse and eclectic. And I think that it's a good thing to make sure that we have a broader base of socioeconomic factors in the community. Having canvassed a good amount of this city in the last several months, I know that the affordable housing units are pretty well integrated. So that's one of the things that we can do very successfully in Cupertino. We can think about this ahead of time and find ways to do it in such a way that it doesn't shove it down people's throats, in a manner of speaking. So I think that we don't necessarily have to, as some of my fellow candidates are saying, put in high density in one particular area. I think we can be thoughtful about it, and we can be very efficient about making sure that people who work here who are not necessarily earning the $40 an hour that Mr. McCoy alludes to are able to live here, and that does help a lot of other problems as well, such as traffic and environmental considerations.
Ms. Vaidhyanathan?
Well, I was serving on the board of West Valley Community Services. I saw a lot of clients who came in and they were looking for affordable housing. WVCS is one of the designated agencies that works with our city to allocate people to such residences as and when they come available. And they provide service that we really cannot compare it to anything else, because there are so many single moms, single parents with children who want to go to these schools. If we provide them a place, those kids will prosper and do really well. I've taken those kids shopping, and you see the smile on their face when they get a new backpack or a gift for Christmas. There's nothing like that feeling. So we absolutely need affordable housing in our city. And one of my priorities is affordable housing for seniors. As somebody else mentioned, the seniors want to continue to live in our city, but they don't want to live in their big houses. They want to move to smaller homes. So if we can provide for affordable housing for our seniors, they get to move out into a place which they can easily maintain and leave the home for their children or somebody else. And if this is in an area where there can be public transportation provided, that's all the more better, because then they don't have to drive. So we absolutely need affordable housing, and I'll make sure if I'm on the council that the BMR is respected. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chang?
I already answered it. You want me to answer second time?
Did I call on you twice?
Sorry. Even though I'm
right,
excited,
okay.
but I still remember. I already answered. You want to give me another 90 minutes? I don't mind.
Now, the city council candidates are even with the Cupertino School District candidates. So
Yes.
I don't favor either one.
Sorry.
So now we come to your closing statements. And we're going to go in the reverse order to the opening statements. And we'll start with Robert McCoy.
I'd just like to thank everyone for coming out to listen to us. Thank my fellow candidates for doing the right thing for the community. It's very important that someone does it. And I hope that I get your support. Thank you.
Mr. Chang.
I'm not a regular politician. As you can see, I will offend a lot of people because I want to get a job done. I kept my campaign promise last race in 2009. All three of them, except Lehigh, I forced them to cut down 90% of the mercury. There's more pollution to fight on. So I need your help. I want to continue that fight, make sure they are in full compliance with our law. If they cannot comply, they should not be operating to harm us. That's number one. Number two, traffic congestion is really a problem. I'm the only candidate working with VTA and find out it's very, very bad. I mean, this is Silicon Valley, the high-tech center of the world. The public transit system is so embarrassing, so embarrassing. So that got to change, that the whole traffic congestion issue, the traffic congestion issue around the school, we need to institute the shuttle bus around our city, small shuttle bus for our senior, for our student to travel around. Thank you.
Savita Vaidhyanathan.
Thank you so much, Roberta, and also for pronouncing my last name so beautifully. And thank you, League of Women Voters, and APAPA, and all of you who are gathered here today. I've worked with many, many community leaders, some of whom are in this room. And one of the things that they always say is, they know this about me. I study all aspects of any issue, and I try to find common ground and build consensus. That's something I'll always do. I'll always seek inputs from you and make the best decision in the long-term interests of our residents. My priorities for Cupertino are aligned with my passion and consistent with the needs of the community. So can we do more for our youth by supporting our schools and give students exciting after-school options? Can we do more for our environment by choosing green energy solutions and enhance the quality of our air, water, and land? And can we do more for our seniors to ensure that they have good housing and mobility options? And the shuttle that I mentioned earlier, I really want to promote that. If your answer to all the above is yes, please vote for me. A yes for Savita is a yes for youth, environment, and seniors. Learn more at savitaforcupertino.com. Thank you.
Darcy Paul.
Hi, I just wanted to begin by thanking my volunteers who are here today. John is standing up back there, Demille and Cassie, as well as Mike and Cecilia. So they're almost all students to a person, and I think that the continuity of this process is really what interests me the most. I think personally that if you are voting for a city council candidate, and I commend every single one of us for being up here, because it's essentially a volunteer position, a lot of work, then if you want to look for these solutions, you have to find the right approach. My approach is about honesty and civility, about fairness and efficiency. At the end of this, for every problem that you hear about, I think that we can find good solutions. And I tend to think no matter where you are on any spectrum that you want to look at, you tend towards the same correct solutions for a lot of these problems. So I'm offering myself as a broker to help foster these discussions. I know we have a lot of wherewithal and talent within the community to get these things done. So thanks very much.
Mark Santoro.
First, I'd like to thank all of you that are here attending and anyone who's actually going to watch this and take the time to study who they should be voting for. Someone once asked me, well, what I want to do to get everybody, if they wanted to vote for me to re-elect me, and I said I'd like to get everyone to watch a council meeting. You have an advantage. Most of us up here are either on the council or on a commission where you can actually go and watch us and see what we do. You can see how we voted. Watch out for terms like smart or managed growth versus I don't want growth. They're very different terms. I'd like to say that 17% is how much the approval rating went up of the city since I've been on the council. So even if you're not watching meetings, I think that's a pretty good number during the biggest recession of our times. Finally, the question you all want to know, I'm not going to juggle today, but I did get my cast off, so I'm doing better, healing fast. And last word, I want to thank all my fellow candidates for being here. There's a great group, even you, Barry. And no, Barry and I actually get along fine. We banter on camera, but off camera, we get along fine. So I think you had a great group, and I hope you all choose wisely. Thank you.
Johnson.
Yeah, I hope next time when we come in here, we discuss some concrete project for the community together instead of a self-promotion here. It's for the candidate, I think it's we have been driven by political circle instead of by long-term goal driven for the city planning. I have been 4 years planning commissioner, 4 years planning commission plus a 4-year college in the urban planning. Our city needs a long-term plan instead of a issue driven. We need to hire the second opinion for the traffic consultation, and also we need to hire or invited worldwide city planner to come into our city to give us some consultation. Together, we can build a better community for professional long-term goal to make a Cupertino balanced city. Thank you.
Mr. Huang.
Having managed 2 startups, I know how to build common grounds and consensus and solve the problems by listening to the needs, identify the common goals, and formulate a solution by leveraging some of the success models. 6 years of volunteering, 4,000 hours in the community. I've heard some of the concern from the residents. As your city council, I will focus on addressing the public safety issues like parking, like traffic, like repairing the roads, managing the growth of housing by carefully and a common sense approach, and then also preserve our quality of life by protecting our air, land, and water, extending the library and senior center hours, as well as integrating Valco and Main Street into a vibrant destination for Cupertino. I've been working with the city leaders for 4 years as a public safety commission, and I'm uniquely qualified as a civic entrepreneur, as well as the community experiences to help the Cupertino overcome its growth challenges and maintain our quality of life. So vote for me, Andy, number 2. Thank you.
Thank you. And please join me in thanking the candidates first for being here tonight and also for committing themselves to seek public office. It's a great commitment. More people need to think about doing it, and I think it's wonderful that we have this slate of candidates tonight. And remember to vote on November 4th, either at the precinct or getting your vote by mail ballots in. Also, for other information, you can look at the League of Women Voters nonpartisan website, smartvoter.org. These candidates have put their information up there for you to read, and you can learn about other candidates on the ballots, on your ballot, and the state propositions. And thank you for coming. Good night.
Thank you.